and of course, leave some time for some Q&A. And as always, we encourage connection and, following up, and hopefully the students will take the advantage to or take the step to follow up and connect with, all of the employers who are here as well. So yeah, thanks to everybody for coming and taking some time out of your day. And let's get things rolling. Cass, who do we got first?
Awesome. First up, we will have Angel. So please share your screen and please begin your presentation.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. 1 sec. Okay, hi everyone, my name is Angel. My app is called Walk with Friends. It's an app for anybody who wants to stay active by walking more and wants to plot their routes on a map and share with other users. So I just set my timer for 5 minutes. I'm going to be talking really fast, but I'll answer any questions at the end. So here's my login page. We can either sign up or log in here. I'm going to log in as demo user. So I have 6 pages on my app. The first one is the home page, which is our distance leaderboard. This is for the current week. Here are all of my friends ranked in the order of the distance that they walked for the current week. The second page I have is our new route page. So here I can map a route. If I wanted to visit Seattle, I can visit, so say I want to visit the aquarium, I want to visit the Space Needle, and I want to visit Pike Place Market. So here's the route that we get along with the directions. And if I want to modify this map, I can just drag and I can add a pit stop if I want, and I can save this route. So next I'm going to go to my saved routes page, which is my third page. Here are all the routes that I've saved before in the past. And this is the one I just added at the bottom. And that's the route just like I left it. I can view the directions by clicking here. So if I want to share this route with friends, I can click the share button and select a few friends. And let's propose that we all go walking together next week on Saturday. So I click save, I click share here, and this will have sent this route to my friends' accounts along with the proposed date and time. Now I can edit this if I want. I can either delete the date I just added, or I can add a date for last walked. So let's say that I actually already walked this route on Sunday. So I can add this here. So it will show up as a last walked date here. If I go to my homepage, I'll see that my total for this week also updated with this route. The fourth page I want to go over is my friends routes page. So here's a list of all the routes that my friends have shared with me along with the proposed date and time. So if I click on one of these and I like this route, but I want to make it my own, I can drag here and save, and this will add it to my saved routes page. Next, I want to go over my add a friend page. So here I can type in a friend's username and add them or send them a friend request. And finally, the last page I want to go over is my friend requests page. So here are friend requests that other users have sent to me. So for example, if I want to confirm a few of these, so I know Jesse and James, but I don't know Gary, I'm going to delete him, then I'll have added them as my friends. Perfect. So now I want to go over some of my code. So this is the route details page, the class that I have for this page. Let me pull it up right here. So to use the Google Maps API, I had to create 3 Google Maps objects. The first one is a map instance, so that's the map up here. Then second, I have created a directions service, which is the object that communicates with the Google Maps API to get the directions. And finally, the directions renderer takes those directions and renders them in the map and in this directions panel here. So in this directions renderer method call, I pass in an object literal. Draggable is true because I want to be able to modify and edit this map. I pass in the map instance and the directions panel ref. Okay, so now let's go to where we make the directions, the API call. So here, I call the route method of the directions service object to get the directions. I pass in a request, which is an object literal containing all of the unique place IDs from the location form. Then I pass in a callback function with the result and status as parameters. If the status comes back as okay and the result is truthy, as in there is a valid path, then we call the set directions method of the directions renderer object, which will automatically render the directions in our map and in our directions panel. Okay, I want to talk about 2 challenges that I faced in building this app. The first one is just doing all of this, just understanding how to use the Google Maps API. I had to read through all the documentation multiple times just to understand what's going on here. The second challenge I faced was something unexpected. It was my database design. So I want to briefly show you my schema. I had friend requests, friends, routes, shared routes, and users. And so it actually took me quite a bit of time to understand how to organize my data properly so that I can query it. So yeah, now I want to talk about planned updates. One thing I would love to learn how to do is use GraphQL, because I've heard that it's a really great way to query the data efficiently. For instance, here is some of my backend code. Here's a get request, and I have 2 joins going on. So I know if I incorporated GraphQL, then I could just target the specific data that I need instead of doing all these joins. And the second update that I have would be instead of doing, I have a lot of promise chaining going on in my backend, or actually this is my front end code. I have a lot of promise chaining going on everywhere. And if I learn how to use async await, that would reduce, like it's syntactic sugar that would help to reduce the amount of promise chaining I have going on here and just make it easier to read and understand. All right, thank you so much for listening to my presentation. I appreciate your time.
Awesome. And now we will have 2 minutes for questions. Any questions so far? All right. So if you don't have any questions, we can move on to Frank, who will be presenting.
Angel, your presentation was so detailed. There wasn't anything left for the imagination. Nice work.
Very nice.
Yeah, thanks so much.
All right, Frank, you're up next.
So let me share my screen here. All right. Let me pull everything up. All right, can you see my screen? All right, so, all right. Hi, my name is Frank Bishop. I'm a full stack web developer, and I would like to show off my application, TV Diary. And it is a full stack application for TV watchers who want to track what they watch. And basically, it's a lot of different features here. And one of the core ones is, being able to search for a show. So you can type in the name of the show you want to search for, and it'll come up with results. And once you find a result, you just click on the entry you want, and that pulls up a basic overview of the show with a cast list of pictures, a plot summary, poster, premiere date. If you click on this episode list button, it pulls up a episode list of all the episodes, and it has a CD log and need to watch button. Those are really important here because they're some of the core features of the TV Diary functionality. Need to watch, you click and it adds to the watch list, but let me actually sign in real quick. 1 second, sorry about that. Now back to that. And basically you put need to watch, it adds it to the, it is signed in. Test 1. Now it should be signed in. So I'll go through that really quickly. Sorry about that. We go to the episode list here. We have need to watch, adds it to the watch list and log. It can add it to the diary feature. And if you go to watch list, this will show you what you've added to the watch list. And if you want to delete something from the watch list, you just click the yes button there and it deletes it. And then you have the diary feature here, which shows the entries in the diary. Usually it's going to be more than one, but this is just for demonstration purposes. That shows the episode name, the star rating you gave it, and the date you added it. And I would like to talk about the log feature and how that works. This is the episode list component code up right here. And that will maps out the each episode that's pulled from the TV Maze API that I'm using. And that, it pulls down from the props and adds all these attributes for the season name, episode name, all that stuff. And it adds for each entry, it adds the on-click handler for open log model method, which opens the log model method, which gets all the attributes of the target. from the event.target and adds them to the episode object. And then that is that gets then after that the log model, the state is set so the log model opens, and this is the log model, and this is what gets rendered on the page. React stars is taken from an npm package, and how that works is you see the on change right here when the ever the rating is whenever you click on the different stars, it changes the ratings and runs this method right here, which updates the state to whatever rating you have. And once you run the event handler for save the log right here on the save the log button, that basically packages everything into the log log object, and then it closes the model, and then it runs the save the log method passed down from the props, which is on the parent app component. And what that does is it makes a post fetch call, which sends all that information up. Then once it gets a response back, it adds that entry to the log array of the state. So when you click on the diary, you'll see that added to the diary. And some of the challenges I faced are that, keeping track of the React component tree, that was really hard at first, because this is really when I felt I started to learn React, was this project. Instead of just doing small components at a time, this taught me how to put all the components together into one working functional app. So that definitely taught me how to plan out React apps in the future. And some features I would like to add are, adding, ability to search by actor, and also ability to write text reviews of episodes. And that is my presentation. Thank you.
Awesome. Great job, and on time as well. So we have 2 minutes for questions, if there are any. All right, we can move on to our third participant, our presenter, which will be Sam.
Can everyone see the screen okay?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Samuel, and I'm a full stack web developer, and I'm here to present Teter Taste, a full stack JavaScript application for groups that can't decide where to eat. So for a run through the app, here's a search form where users can search for a list of restaurants. So in this input field here, you can add a location. So let's say we're going to be in Los Angeles. And then let's say we're in the mood to eat Mexican food. So you can click on the button for the food type and then press search. And then the app will return a list of restaurant recommendations based on the food type and the location that you put in. If you wanted to learn more about a restaurant, let's say Leo's Taco Truck, you can click on the little card and a new tab will open, which will lead to the Yelp business page. Sorry, my computer's a bit slow. But it'll lead to the Yelp business page where the user can look up more information about the restaurant if they wanted to see the hours or what pictures that they had. And let's say as a group, we're okay with eating at Leo's Taco Truck. What the user can do is click on this check icon right here. And what that will do is add it to the randomized list for the app to randomly choose a restaurant. And let's say we're okay with eating at any of these restaurants here. And let's say perhaps besides Mexican food, the group is okay with eating a different type of food. You can open this app drawer and go back to the search form right here. And let's say we're going back to LA, and let's say we're in the mood for eating Korean food. We can do a new search and a new list of restaurants will be returned. And let's say we're okay with eating at any of these locations here. Next, when you want the app to randomly choose a restaurant, you can go back to the app drawer and go to this randomized list. And over here, it'll show a list of all the restaurants that you had saved of places that you're okay with eating. Let's say you decide you change your mind about a specific restaurant, you can click on these check marks right here and it'll remove that restaurant from the list from the app to randomly choose. And once you're okay with the finalized list, you can click on this randomize button. And here the app will choose a restaurant here, it says Yup.LA. So that's where the app chooses for us to recommend to eat. And you can also visit the Yelp page for that winning restaurant. Now to go over some of the code, I wanted to go over how the app returns a list of restaurant recommendations. So in the code, when you submit the form, there's a handle submit method that listens for the submit event. And what it does is prevents default behavior, and then it reassigns the hash of the window location to this template literal, which will include the location and the food type that you inputted. And on the app, we had an event listener that listens for hash change events. And what happens is we use this parse route function on the hash of the window location. And then we assign it to this constant variable route, and we set state method to update the state property route with the return. And since we're using the set state method, the render method will run again. It'll call this render page method, and then in the render page method, based on the path property of the route object, a different page component will be returned. In this case, it'll be search results. And in here, we are passing the location of food types as props. So in the search results page component, the constructor will run, it'll form the state, the render method will run, return the React element. And then after it mounts, the component did mount method will run. And in this method, we are calling a fetch to the server pathway, which we're passing in the location of food type as well to our server. And in the server, the appropriate handler is being handler is being called, and we're checking to make sure that the params include the location and food type. If not, we'll throw an error. And then we use this search method of the client object to send a GET request to the Yelp API. I'm able to use this search method because I installed the npm package Yelp Fusion. And so we're sending a GET request with these parameters, and the server will send a request to the Yelp API. Yelp API will send a response back to our server, and then our server sends a response back to our client. And in the client, once we get our response back, we use the set state method to update the restaurant's property of the state with the array of restaurants that we got from the Yelp API. The render will be called again, and then we are mapping through this restaurants array in the state. And then for each item in the array, we are returning an allied React element and assigning it to this div restaurants constant variable. And then we return a React element, which will substitute this div restaurants variable with the list of restaurants and their cards. Some problems that, or some difficulties that I ran into while making the project were actually this little check icons. One thing was that there was an issue when I was saving to the database. It had to be camel case, but all the properties that I was getting back from the API were using underscores or underslash, sorry. So I had to essentially, that kind of confused me for a while. So I had to do a little digging and then rename all the properties and all the variables, and also making sure that the right render icon will be returned when you're loading the page. And some features I'm thinking of considering adding were somehow perhaps on the restaurant list page is to change the food type and the location directly here instead of going back to the search form. And also another feature I'm considering is when you randomly select one is to do a new randomized functionality on the page itself. Thank you so much for listening, and I'm glad to answer any questions.
Great job, Sam. Any questions for Sam? All right. We're gonna move on to the next presenter, Nick.
Great, give me 1 second to share my screen.
Yes.
Perfect, can you guys see it?
Yes.
Awesome, so hello everyone, my name is Nick. I am a full stack developer and recent graduate from LearningFuze. Today I'm gonna be sharing with you an application I created not too long ago by which I like to call it AppChat. AppChat is essentially a web-based application for users who want to get into groups and chat online. Some of the features of this application is going to be the user's ability to kind of create a profile, be able to view all the chat rooms they belong to, create and join chat rooms, and then also send and receive messages in real time with other users. So over here in our app, so for new users, first thing that happens is we get greeted with this little form, which is going to take some user data and then create a profile and insert the profile into our database. So over here, we can go ahead and type in user1 for our first user, press submit, and this will give us access to the list of all the users' chat rooms. So as of right now, the list is empty. Pressing this plus icon here and selecting create, we can go ahead and create a chat room. We will go ahead and call this one demo 1, press submit. This will render a chat room item. Clicking this item will then give the user access to the room's message area. And this essentially also initializes our WebSocket and allows messages to be sent in real time between multiple users. Up here in the top right, we have this icon, which slides out a little drawer, which gives us some more information about our chat room. First is going to be a list of all the members that currently belong to the room, followed by the chat room specific ID, which will come in handy when another user wants to join a chat. So we can go ahead and do that now over on our second user by creating a profile, clicking our new chat icon, clicking join, and then making sure we enter the right chat ID. So we can go and submit that. This will then render a room item. We click the room item and we now have access to the chat room as well. So from here, now that we have multiple users, sending messages is pretty simple. Over here in our user 1, we can type in hello, press send, and this will now update on both instances of the application. If we want to send a message back, we could do that over here as well. So this is pretty much essentially it. Another thing too, if a user wants to leave a chat room, we can go ahead and open up the drawer, press leave room, and this will essentially remove the user from the room and delete the room item from their chats list. So over in our code, I'd like to show you how I set up the WebSocket to allow for real-time messaging. So this section right here is going to be our message area. So over in our message area component, in our component did mount function, we initialize the socket by calling this IO function, which we imported from our npm socket.io client package. We then assign the return of that function to the socket property of this object. We destructure that socket property from this object, and then we emit an event by the name of join chat and send over to our server-side client the ID for this specific chat room. Over in our server side, in our server, once the socket has made a connection, we can then listen for events by calling the on method of the socket object and passing it a couple arguments. The first argument is going to be our join chat, which is pretty much the name of the event we want to listen for. The next is going to be a callback function, which takes the data or the chat room ID that we received from the client. And we are going to call the join method of the socket object and pass it the chat room ID. And this essentially joins this WebSocket to the room. So now multiple users can send messages back and forth. Over on our client side, in order to listen for new messages, all we pretty much have to do is set up an event listener by calling the on method of our socket object, passing it a couple arguments. The first one's going to be a string listening for events called new message. The second one is going to be a callback, which is going to a callback function, which takes message data sent over from the server. We create a variable called updated messages, which pretty much takes, we pretty much take a shallow copy of our messages that are stored in state, assign it to our updated messages variable. We push the new message to our updated message variable, and then we set state with all the new messages. So the message will then be rendered on the screen. A couple limitations that I had for this application was pretty much finding out where to initialize the socket. Originally, I initialized the socket very high up in our app component. This didn't end up working out. It made a lot of difficulties in kind of differentiating between users. So I decided to just initialize the client once a chat room is open. Some future features that I have planned for this is pretty much just building out kind of like the user profile and allowing the user to upload, you know, bios and like a biography and pictures. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And that's my presentation.
Awesome. Very nice job. And do we have any questions for Nick? Awesome. We can now have Daniel present.
All right. Hello, everyone. All right. Everyone can see my screen?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Hi, my name is Daniel Rosenbaum, and I'm a web developer who created the application Bookshelf. Bookshelf is a mobile-first, full-stack web application for people who love to read. Users are able to keep track of and rate books they've already read, seek out new books to read, and find more details about any book they search for. In many ways, it's similar to the popular app Goodreads, but Bookshelf prioritizes simplicity and ease of use. Developed in React with Node.js, Bookshelf utilizes a backend server created in Express with a Postgres database that is viewable with the PG Web UI. All right, so let's get started. Upon opening the app, the user is greeted by a simple homepage animated with the React transition group and animate.css libraries. After 5 seconds, the user is taken to a login page where they're given the choice to sign in, or they can register a new account. I've already created a guest account that we can log in with. Authentication was implemented using the Argon 2 hashing password library with secure authorization provided by JSON Web Tokens. After signing in, the user is taken to a search page that will allow them to interact directly with the Google Books API. The user can search for books with any query from the main page, or if they want to specify the search by type, they can go to advanced search. I'm using, throughout the app, I'm using REST APIs designed with a fetch method to interact with both the outside API and the backend database. To make loading faster, the user is initially only given the 10 most relevant books to their query. However, if they don't find what they need, I implemented the React Infinite Scrolling component to display 10 additional results at a time. Within the results page, the user is given the option to either add a book to a reading list for books they would like to read, or if they would like to save a book to their library for books they've already read, they can click that as well. The icon of messages will turn red to indicate books are already added to each list, so they can't add multiple copies. In the library page, the user is given the option to rate each book using a simple rating component I created that stores each book's rating under the user's ID within the database. The user is also given the option to view more details of a book or delete books added to the library on accident. So let's delete a book. On my reading list page, the user can also view more details about each book, as well as click a link that will take them to directly to results for that same book on the website indiebound.com, which allows people to buy stuff from a local bookstore. Users are also able to delete books from the reading list as well. Over the past few days, I've been in the process of creating a new feature directed specifically at students to help them create a reading plan for books on their reading list. I was an English major in college and was often given several books to read at once during short time frames. While I hope to add additional functionality to this feature in the future, such as the ability to record how much a user has read each day, as well as make a plan for individual days, for now, the section allows the user to choose any book in their reading list, and it will automatically pull up the page account for that book. The user can then input the number of days until they need to finish the book, and a page count per day will be generated. If the user would rather choose how many pages a day they want to read, the days until finished will be updated as well. The feature I would like to show you guys is my get rating component. While there are a number of packages available with rating components already built for React, I decided to try and implement this feature myself. Here within my library page on line 31, I'm using the fetch method in component did mount to send a GET request to my server for all books in the database that match the user ID stored in context and that have been marked as read by the user. I'm saving these results in state, and within render, I'm mapping through the results to build cards for each individual book. On line 157, you can see I'm including a get rating React element for every card that will include a value prop that holds the value of rating gathered by mapping through the book results, which will then render the correct number of stars depending on if the user has already rated this book or not. When a user adds a new book to their library, the initial value is always set to 0. In my get rating component, I take the value prop and store it in state under rating. Within render on line 42, I create a set of 5 empty arrays to represent the 5 stars mapped through those arrays, giving each a star and an index parameter. I define a separate variable named stars that will hold the value of index +1, so that numbers 1 through 5 will be referenced rather than the indexes of 0 through 4. I created a radio button on line 46 for each array to allow the user to click stars on or off, but styled it in CSS to be hidden so that only the star icon will be visible. Each input is then given the value of the variable stars as the arrays are mapped through. When clicked, the handle click function is triggered, sending a patch request to my Express server to update the value of ratings in the database that corresponds to the current user ID number to equal the value of the specific star array that is clicked. The state of rating is also updated on line 21. And then on line 47, I used a ternary expression to render conditional class names from Font Awesome that will appear as a filled in star if the star's value is less than or equal to the rating stored in state, or an empty black star if stars is greater than rating. All right, thank you guys so much for watching my demo.
Thank you so much, Daniel. And super quick question, just because I've asked you before, but how has your passion for CSS evolved with this project?
CSS was something I really struggled with at first. I'm sure like everyone else, but I had a lot of fun. As I feel like I got more comfortable with React, it was fun to like kind of mess around with CSS. And I started like trying to build stuff on my own, but then just like found some like fun packages on NPM that made it a lot easier. So yeah, it was a lot of fun once I got a little bit more comfortable with it.
Awesome. Does anyone else have any questions for Daniel? All right, thank you so much. And Andy, you're next.
Okay, can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
All right. So, hi, I'm Andy Duenas. I'm a full stack web developer, and this is my application, Looking for Gamers. This application is for gamers who want to discuss games or talk to other gamers about games. So I'm currently on my search page, and if we search a game title, let's say Digimon. Oh. Hold on. Something's going wrong. Okay. Let's try Pokemon. And I receive a game list of 10 games with the title of Pokemon. And so you'll see an image of the game, the title, the total number of posts inside the thread, and a favorite icon. So we can add these games to my favorites list. And let's say we wanted to go in here. Inside the game page, you can see the image of the game, the title, the favorite icon, the total number of posts, and a brief description of the game itself. So we can enter the thread, and on the thread itself, we can create a post. So right here, here's my username, and we could just write hi, and it will display a post with the data was created, a reply icon, and what I wrote. We can also reply. Right now, I'm just replying to myself, but we can also reply. And then we can go back, and we can see that the total post updated. So I can head over to my favorites right now. I can take a look, total post, and that's my application so far. So for the code, I wanted to show you guys the search box itself. So the search box, and this is the search page itself. I get a component search box and make game list. I'll explain it later. So down here, so inside my search box, I'm passing a prop on submit with the make game list. Inside the search box, I have my constructor. I'm binding handle change and handle submit to this. And down here on input, so on change, every time a user clicks on a key, it sets the state to the event target sets the state to the game. And so on submit, once the user hits on submit or the submit button, it calls the on submit and passes the object game to this .state game. So if we go back to search and go up here, so we have the game for the data. We set the state of is loading to true and the game name to data. So we send a fetch request to my over here index, and in here I use the get method of the app object. I'm taking the rec params title and assigning it to the constant variable title. I use Axios, the get method, and I have my API key and then the game title. And for the results, I get it back in search. So if there's nothing, so if the list comes back empty, it's gonna give you pretty much a warning saying to try again. And else it sets the state for the search for data. Yeah, it puts the list of games inside and then sets try again to false, is connected to true, and is loading to false. So if I come down here in list, the component list, it passes down the games prop and then the total list of games and then the current game as well. And some features I wanted to add were that I'm going to add are sign in, sign up, and being able to direct message another user. And that's my application.
Awesome. Thank you so much for presenting, Andy. Do we have any questions? All right. Last but not least, Ken.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Give me 1 second to let me share my screen. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Got it. Okay. So hi, my name is Kenneth Dela Cruz. And first of all, I want to say thank you for coming to our presentations for me or I speak on behalf of me and the rest of my cohort members. Today, I'm going to be talking about an app called Waitlist. It's an application that'll allow users to search for restaurants using geolocation, and it'll also let users be able to look at the wait times for that said restaurants. The application will let users view restaurants, of course. They're able to join wait lists for the restaurants. They're able to edit any reservations that they have made, and they're also able to cancel any reservations that they have made. So on the left-hand side, we are opened with a navigation screen with 4 main buttons that will handle most of all our features. First, we're going to go ahead and search by using geolocation. So if I go ahead and click this left button right here, the application will ask the user if it's okay to use their location. For this example, we'll go ahead and say no for the first time. When that happens, the user will be redirected to a form that'll take the city and state that the user wants to search in. All right, so if we go back to the geolocation again, and this time they want to use their geolocation. There you go. Allow. So if they do use their geolocation, it's going to automatically render restaurants within a 5-mile radius. It'll show the name of the restaurants, the type of cuisines, the address, and the current wait times. Let's say if we do want to join the restaurant Ise-shima, we're going to go ahead and click the restaurant card, and it'll automatically render a button. If we click that button, a form modal will show up that'll take our first name and the party size that we would like to put in. For this example, we'll go ahead and put my name with a party of 2. When the form is complete, it'll return the name of the reservations under, the restaurant it's going to be at, the party number, and also a reservation code. The reservation code will be used to edit or delete any reservations that in the future. So for this example, 3SHL, let's say I want to change it from a party of 2 to a party of 4. We'll go back to the main screen and go to edit reservations. When we hit edit reservations, it'll bring us another form that'll take the unique code that was generated and also the new party size. So 3SHL and new party size of 5. Then when it is completed, it'll show the new updated reservation. So the name, the restaurant, and the new party size of 5 with also the reservation code again. Let's say we don't want to go to that restaurant anymore. We'll just go back to the navigation screen and go to cancel reservations. And we're going to use that same reservation code that was generated for us. L, and go ahead and cancel. Then the application will automatically tell us if the reservation has been deleted. I know there are some cases where the users might have forgotten their reservation codes. So let's just say if I input a wrong reservation code of 1111, it'll give us an error code letting us know that the reservation does not exist and allowing the users to redo the reservation. All right. My future plans for this application is especially for the search by geolocation. I do hope on adding an interactive Google Maps to give a visual representation on where the restaurants would be. Oh, don't tell me it broke. Let's go here. A visual representations on where the restaurants will be. Oh man. Okay. Another one is to allow users to sign into an account in hopes that they would be able to save any save any restaurants they have went to or liked any restaurants they went to. All right. Then let me just quickly go over one of my features, which is the search feature. When we first click this left button and when the component is mounted, it's going to run through this handle search function. It's going to take the users, it's going to go through the navigator geolocation get current position function or method. It's then on success, it's going to take the longitude and latitude of the users, and it's going to push that that data into a fetch call. And for that fetch call, it's going to return an array of objects for the restaurants. And those array of objects or array of restaurants is going to be pushed into the restaurant list that will automatically generate the restaurant cards for all the restaurants. For example, if I showed you that if the users happens to deny access to their locations, if it fails for any reasons, it's going to redirect the user into the city state search. One of the complications I had with this application when creating, I'm currently using two different databases. One that, I'm using one database that will handle all the reservations, and the list of restaurants I'm getting from Yelp API. Since there is no direct communication with them, there are some cases where I wouldn't be able to get the wait times for those restaurants. And to tackle that, when generating the restaurant cards, I had to create another function that will create a restaurant. The function will create a restaurant into the database if it was returned as a 404 when searching for the current wait. So for example, when the restaurant card is rendered, the handle current wait function is going to run. It's going to do a fetch call to my personal database. If the response happens to be a 404, it's going to run the function new restaurant, which will then make another fetch call to create that restaurant. And when it's created successfully, it's going to rerun that current wait, which will then hopefully be able to get the current wait times. And that should be it for my application.
Great job, Ken. All of your restaurants are making me hungry. It's like almost lunchtime. Very nice job. Do we have any questions, not just for Ken, but for everyone else, any of the presenters?
I was curious if anybody got inspiration from other people's presentations or the technologies that they may be have used in their presentation.
To be honest, Angel, one of my future features, which would be the interactive map, I got inspiration from Angel.
Thanks, Ken.
Yeah. Then I actually wanted to try and incorporate WebSockets, which I got inspiration from Nick.
Love it. Anybody else?
I wanted to say that I was really impressed by Daniel's app, all the animations. I was just like, whoa, I didn't even know you could do that. So
Thank you.
For future projects.
Sweet, thanks, Angel.
Cool. And then, final suggestion is definitely share these, post them, the recordings, whether you feel great about, the current one or you want to, go back and do it again. We've actually gotten quite a few pieces of feedback from employers who said that students who had a live demo on their resume made it really easy on them to, decide to kind of, take a quick look and then, potentially move forward about setting up an interview. And of course, as we all know, there's the beauty of LinkedIn, and you can spam your friends and family too, because they don't need to be technical to understand everything.
Yes. And then yeah, so I'll be sending if you signed up as an employer, I'll be sending out the recording to you so you can also view on your own time. And also be sending a flyer with all the presenters' LinkedIn's and GitHub profiles. Yay. Thank you again, everyone. Perfect timing for lunch. So I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Great job, everyone.
Yes, great job.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you.